What's going on, everybody? It's Akilleez from Tester 3. Just wanted to quickly recap all 3 episodes, kind of give you my perspective of everything that happened. Um, yeah, so let me get right into it. First episode, I'm walking into the house, meeting everybody for the first time. It was cool. Um, everybody was, for the most part, everybody was chill. We were trying to fill each other out, um, and get a feel for the competition and what we were up against. But I think we were just really all, pretty shell shocked and just excited to be there. It wasn't an ordinary situation that we were thrust into. So I don't think any of us really knew what we were in for when we first walked in the door. Um, yeah, the bugs, man. You guys saw my face. I was like, when I saw them bugs, man, this was crazy. No, none of us thought, that would be the first challenge. And just like you guys, we were like, what the hell, does this have to do with gaming or any of the reasons why we're here? But there was a silver lining and an underlying theme for it. So you kind of have to go with it. I wish they would have showed more of my interview, man. Damn, I I had fun with it. It was hot, stinky. The bugs. They definitely were a little, especially by the time it got to me, they definitely were a little cranky. So they were nipping like all my neck and stuff. Yeah, I had fun. First episode, you know, um, Asher Chan and Ego kind of got pointed out. Quaja did too, for obvious reasons. Yeah, Ashley Chan, it was, I really wish I would have, we would have got to know her better, because she's really down to earth, really grounded. She seems really, really cool, and I just wish we would have got to interact with her a little more. Ego with the, being on the chopping block, and I just really with the editing and everything else, Ego's a cool ass dude. I love that guy fucking to death. He's the shit. Yeah, man, he said what he said, and he definitely defended himself when the judges called him out. And I think number one, before I get into any of the other episodes, is when they call you out, it's more of a they want to hear what you have to say, um, and just explain your actions. If you take ownership for something you said or something you did, as in any aspect of life, when somebody calls you out, as long as you own up to it, nobody can hold anything against you. So I just think that he did a great job. He was over there talking shit for a while, and we're like, damn, this dude, this came out of nowhere. He just got really, down to earth and really real with it. So hats off to you for that one. But they let him stay on the couch. I wish, damn, they he came in and after we got back from elimination, and he's got this freaking reptar like raptor suit on. It's hilarious. But it was funny, man. He's a cool ass dude. And everybody else, after elimination the first time, that was our first one. So we were like, we don't know what the hell to expect. We don't know what we're gonna do, and how the rest of the eliminations are gonna go. But yeah, first, overall first impressions and first night out there was pretty cool. Just I tried to stay focused. I tried to stay calm under the radar. I had my Mr. Cool Guy sunglasses on, and I was smacking my gum. But I was trying to troll too. I was trying to get go out there with the sense that hey, these guys are probably gonna look at me and say like what the hell is this guy doing here? So I was like, okay, cool. I can kind of have a little fun with it, and that's what we're there for. So all right, so episode 2, Twisted Metal. Yeah, we get put on teams. The whole controversy with that crap. Ninja and Burn, they were captains. And you definitely Ninja definitely played chess with it. He he was definitely strategic. At least, to the point where he got all the the stronger competitors, I guess if you want to say. But honestly, at that point, we're really all on the same level. I think the first challenge kind of equalized us all. So we didn't know what to expect. But yeah, so all the teams were picked, and Suskaiden was the odd man out. I definitely know why. She's very eccentric, very loud, loud spoken, and she's outgoing though. She's definitely vibrant. You can't take that from her. She's definitely she has passion, and just like Jackie said, it's just misdirected. Um, so she's young, and I said she still has some growing up to do. Everybody does. You never. There's always room for improvement. So, but anyway, so yeah, so we get our teams divided up, and then it's Reality and Christy on the Twisted Metal competition, on the boss battle, which was dope, man. Yo, it was when I first saw the big ass monster trucks, that was a sick ass idea. The twin monster trucks, and you beat one, and then the other one like gets all the armor and shit, and it's pretty dope. And at first, like I said, Christy was whooping Reality's ass. I guess he was just trying to get a feel for the controls and get in his groove. But I mean, we really had no time for to get acquainted with the game. It was like beat the boss as fast as you can. So yeah, that was my reaction. I was like, whoa, I was definitely impressed, because that was the first point that any of us had really competed against each other in the games. So it was cool to see her step up and do her thing. But ultimately, Reality won, and we got the advantage, I guess, of not having an extra body. Um, so we get we get to the racks to put on the clothes and everything else. The clown clothes are crazy. I try to go for like a I don't know, like a sweet tooth, like evil, whatever, serious person. I don't know. That's just me. I didn't get goofy with it like Ego and J Tide and Diddy. Diddy, his makeup was ridiculous. I don't even like clowns. Like if you knew me, I'm terrified of clowns. I hate them. And just seeing him like that, I was like, wow, like that shit. I wouldn't be caught with him in a dark alley. Like, definitely not. But yeah. So we get out to the challenge, the second part actually, and we see the the not put together ice cream truck, and after Meredith gives us the instructions. I'm just like, hell, my whole thought process was, okay, you know, I'm just gonna pull. Um, we're gonna have three people in there. I weigh, like a buck 95. Reality's like, 140, 150, soaking wet with quarters in his pocket. I'm just kidding, man. We got quads. We got three people. That's easily 300 something pounds. Plus the ice cream truck. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's got wheels. I'm just gonna, pull it just because if we got to a point where it's neck and neck, I'm just gonna try to pull the hell out of it. So that's why I volunteered for that, and everybody else was cool with it. I could have built, excuse me, um, but I just felt like I was better suited for that. And man, Diddy and Ninja did a great job. They didn't get flustered, which was great because the other team was whooping our asses. Um, so I was there trying to be the voice of reason and try to tell them, slow and steady, slow and steady. And it actually, it worked in our favor. Asuka and Suskaiden, they had their problems. I think it was just, not even really too much the Spanish thing, because, I speak Spanish, I'm Puerto Rican. And she was venting, more than like trying to communicate. Um, so I really don't think that was a factor as much as it was just, they just really didn't mesh well. And, they didn't listen to their teammates. It just broke down. They got so far ahead, and they tried to do it so fast that when the problems arose, they just didn't know how to react to it. They didn't know how to just correct their problems real quick. So they got frustrated, and it showed. And that's how we were able to come from behind and get the victory. So man, Jaffe's that autographed copy and the headsets. That's a great prize to win. For my first win on the show. So um, that was dope. Um, so yeah, elimination time comes up. I forgot what was going on in the house before elimination. There was just a lot of talk about from the other team about exactly what went wrong. And the girls, actually a funny story is that me and Reality it was actually that night. Um, we're sitting on the couch and I'm like, hey, who do you think is gonna be the first drama starters? Is it gonna be the guys or is it gonna be the girls? And we're all like, you said at the same time, like the girls. And sure enough, um, yeah, man, Asuka and Suskaiden, we're kind of bickering back and forth about the Spanish thing, and then Burn got involved.
Um, so just, the unnecessary drama and the unnecessary bickering. It's just, we're there. It's a competition, yes. And we, at the end of the day, we're against each other. We can be friends, and we can be cool because everybody was definitely cool. But there comes a point when you put the drama aside, and you got to own up to your own mistakes. And I don't think that either of them really did that during elimination. Asuka was doing the Spanish. She took the whole Spanish angle, and Suskaiden under delivering. That's the biggest thing, man. Like, I guess there was some miscommunication about her building houses and whatnot. And everybody on their team was like, "Hey, she said I built houses." So when you promise something, to somebody that you're going to be able to deliver, this standard, and you don't, you don't meet that standard, that's huge, because your team relied on you for that. So if she would have focused more on that, I think that she probably wouldn't have went home, and Skyler wouldn't have been gone. If they would have harped on that and just focused really on what she promised and she couldn't deliver. If she would have done that, I think that it would be a totally different story. And I got to give it to Suskaiden, man. She's vicious when it comes to those eliminations, man. She's really vicious. She can really hold her own, and she does. She does. In a sense, take ownership, and but she can talk, man. She can defend herself really well. So I'll definitely hats off for that. But yeah, ultimately, the judges saw something in Suskaiden that they didn't see in Asuka, and they decided to keep her instead of Asuka. Nothing against Asuka. Asuka's a great person. We all chat, and we kept in touch after the show was over. And she's a beautiful person, really, really, really good soul. So don't hate on her for the Spanish thing. I just think she just really didn't defend herself as well as she could have. Okay, so second episode gone. Third episode. This one I really wasn't looking forward to this one because I'll get to it in a little bit. So they automatically pick teams for us. And we got the tan team, which is myself, Ego, Ninja, Burn, and Suskaiden, against Diddy, J-Type, Quaja, Christy, and Reality. And right off the bat, I'm like, okay, cool. Like this is it's divvied up nice. And we're gonna go at it. We're gonna battle. I don't know I didn't know what kind of challenge it was, but one thing I preached to them, everybody in the house, was that no matter what, you go in there, give it 100%, and leave everything out there, because you can be sure come elimination, if you didn't leave everything out there, and it's gonna be obvious, they're gonna call you out on it. So your best bet is just give it all you have, and you leave everything out there, and they can't call you out for nothing. So teams are pretty even. We get out to the post-apocalyptic junkyard, which is crazy. It was fucking freezing out there. So we get out there, and they explain the challenge to us about the cantaloupes and the obstacle course. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm gonna smoke this whole course. I mean, because on camera it really doesn't look that big, and it really, in essence, it really wasn't a long course. More in the sense that there was a lot of big obstacles to like leap over and crawl under and all that stuff. So we didn't really know anything. We hadn't seen what the cantaloupes or the bags, or we hadn't seen any of that stuff. We just knew that we had to get there and fire at targets, and we had to traverse the obstacle course while carrying the ammo. We go first. Challenge starts. And it's like boom. I'm trying to really think of something, to just a strategy like on my feet, and I had no time. So the one thing this is the reason why I wasn't looking forward to this episode, was because I kind of took ownership, and I felt the blame for not telling Burn to carry him, any ammo. And my reasoning was more of the sense that, like, I wanted somebody to get there as fast as they could, so that way when the next person got to, the catapult with the ammo, it's just, hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Let's pull this shit back and let's let it fly. And then I was just going for speed. I mean, because it was a race against the clock. So that was my whole reasoning. I just went with it, and she was a trooper. I mean, that's she just followed orders, and I can't, and anybody, we can't blame her for that. So yeah, so she goes. I decided to stay back, and lead from behind. I tried to carry as much ammo as I could, because it's like if she has no bags, if she has no ammo, I'm kind of carrying her slack for her. And which is fine. I could have done it. So, I chose to lead from behind, just in case anybody fell out, and which was great that I did, because Ninja had some trouble, and I was there. Had I taken off and been in the front, well, Ninja would have been alone. And who knows how long it would have taken him to overcome that obstacle. So I'm glad I chose that standpoint, and chose to stay behind and help him out. Burns having some trouble with the catapult. Ego, my bad. Before I go any further, Ego, hands down the MVP of the challenge, of our team at least. I mean, I worked hard, but Ego went back like 2 or 3 times for ammo. They didn't show that, but man, I mean, dude he hit his target and he was gone. He did his job. He went back for ammo, and sure enough, we had plenty. Man, Ego, he was in the zone, and I love that shit, man. Somebody that's on my team and they're giving it their all. It's definitely a good thing. So Skyden hits hers. She's trying to fire, additional ones, because I guess the directions really weren't clear. They were to me, but it's cool. It didn't cost us too much time. Again, Burns having a little trouble. We're trying to improvise and help her out. But like she said, when I went back for more ammo, and Ego was gone, and I think Skyden went back one time, she was able to hit it. She was able to hit the target. No pressure. Everybody was off her back. So that's good. Ninja nailed the back target. I actually tried to be ace and try to go for the back target first. And I missed like twice. And I was like, you know what? We're getting low on ammo. Let me go back and help Ego get some more ammo. And then Ninja just stepped up and just nailed the back target like clockwork. It was great. And then I got like the closest one. I was like, ooh, one shot. But it was the closest one. So, and I saw the other team, man. They kicked ass. On camera, it kind of looked like we were gonna win. It looked like they made a little more mistakes than we did. But they ended up beating us by like a minute and something. So hats off to them. You guys did your thing. After the challenge, I was a little down. I was on the mindset that I wanted to step up more. And in retrospect, hindsight's always 20/20. When you're looking back, it's like, damn, I could have done this, I could have did that. I should have done this, I should have done that. But it is what it is, and you only get one chance. And like I told the judges at elimination, I was like, man, I was proud of every single one of them, because they stepped up, and they performed, as well as they could have. The other team was just a better team. So you can't really say much other than that. My decision to set everybody down after the challenge was just to alleviate any drama. To pretty much say, hey, I don't want any of this negativity to affect our group. Come elimination, you talk about what you did, because it's a team, and we all succeed and we all fail together. So there's no negativity, there's nobody throwing anybody under the bus and none of that bullshit. So that was my mindset for that, and I think that myself, Ego, and Ninja, we held true to that. And I kind of knew in the back of my mind that the females were going to kind of go at it, but I was hoping they didn't. So come elimination, sure enough, when they harp on, they ask us, you know, what went wrong. First question, man, Burns is like, "This guy," and I'm like, "Ugh." I could not believe after all, you know, after that discussion that she would do that. You know, I thought that she was going to take ownership and, you know, if anything, put the blame on me for not telling her to carry any ammo. But they didn't really see that. So, but then they go at it and stuff like that. And, you know, again, you can't come at Sue Skyden like that. You just can't. You have to really take ownership in what you've done and really just say, hey, you know what? I outshined her. You know, I might have messed up, but hey, I outshined her at least. But Sue Skyden she really kicked ass at the challenge, so you really couldn't say anything. So yeah, so you know, Burns, you know, pretty much looking like she's gonna go home. And here's where, you know, it's all over the net. You know, everybody in the loft had the same, you know, thought process. We had an opinion. We really just did not see Ego going home. But you know, Brent did say overall job performance, and that was key. You know, he didn't really do good on the first challenge. You know, he was on a losing team on the second challenge, even though it really wasn't his fault. You know, he just didn't get a chance to perform. You know, you can't take away from that. You know, he has no say in that. And then it's, you know, this time, you know, and it's like, fuck, you know, he's on my team. You know, so I was bummed. I was bummed when he went home when they called his name, because I was like, man, you know, this guy was on my team. You know, I see myself as a leader. You know, and people in the loft saw me as a leader, and you know, I felt like I let him down a little bit. So, but you know, I was always told to be a man and not a martyr. So you know, I was just like, hey, you know, damn, you know, that's my boy. You know, he was on my team, but it is a competition, and that's one strong competitor down. You know, and you gotta have that mindset. But dude, Ego, you're the shit, and you know, you don't need me to tell you, you know, that you're talented and you know you're really creative, bro. You're gonna be fine. So hats off to that. So yeah, so Ego goes home, and then they throw the curveball that you know, they're not finished. And at that moment, my stomach kind of dropped because even though, you know, this is my first hiccup, I guess, nobody was safe, you know, and so I'm like, fuck, they might call me out, you know. But then they kind of harped on Burn, you know, some guidance and everything else, and you know, Burn ended up going home. And again, you know, it's sad. It's sad whenever anybody goes home, but that's one less competitor gone. So anyway, so that's my thoughts about the first 3 episodes. I want you guys to, you know, reply and comment and all that stuff down there, somewhere, no, whatever. And yeah, you know, I want to do a Q&A. If you guys got any questions, just, you know, leave them down there, and I'll next video I'll go ahead and answer them, you know, as best as I can. So make them funny, make them serious, whatever you guys want to do. Just be respectful, please. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's like fucking 25 minutes, a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be. But yeah, my first one. Hopefully they'll be a little shorter than this next time, for your sake, probably. And I'm rambling, so it's Akilleez signing off, and I guess I'll see you guys next week. Oh, before I forget, shout out to Ruby Truth on Twitter. 13-year-old. She's a sweetheart. So if you're watching this, shout out to you. I promise you I'll give you a shout out on my first video. And she, you know, follow her. She's cool. She's cool, down to earth chick. So, all right, have a good one.